Welcome everyone to our GOE for this month. Our topic is called Let's Get Ready for Kindergarten, Making the Transition Smooth for All. Today it will be presented by Team Wolfpack, which comprises of Amanda, Cheryl, who is not present today, Christina, Kalita, Nadir, who is not present today, and Rebecca and myself, C. This is our Bright Spark mission, to nurture and to sustain child-centered, anti-racist early learning communities. These are values that we try our best to uphold within our organization. And passing on to Amanda for land acknowledgement.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the work we do takes place on ancestral and traditional lands of many Coast Chehalis people. In Tacoma and Pierce County, we honor the Puyallup tribe of Indians who have cared for and stewarded this land since time immemorial. Sorry, guys. In Seattle and King County, we recognize the Duwamish tribe, the Muckleshoot Indian tribe, and the Squamish tribe, whose deep connections to this land, water, and community continue today. As we gather together, I want to acknowledge the strength, resilience, and ongoing contributions of Indigenous communities. This acknowledgement is a reminder for me to continue learning, reflecting, and doing this work in a way that honors community, relationships, and equality for all children and families.
Thank you, Amanda.
Hello, my name is Kalita and I will go over kindergarten readiness. Kindergarten readiness is not about accelerating academics or expecting children to perform at a first grade level. Rather, it means children have developed the foundational skills needed to thrive in a more structured classroom setting. This includes the ability to follow directions, participate in group learning, communicate their needs effectively, regulate emotions with support, demonstrate emerging literacy and math skills, and function with increasing independence. Social emotional skills. So, social emotional development is the foundation of kindergarten readiness. Before children can fully engage in academic learning, they must learn certain steps to build emotional regulation, follow multi-step directions, participating in group settings, interacting positively with peers. So in pre-K, teachers should focus on intentionally teaching and modeling these skills, providing support and guidance as children practice managing their emotions and functioning with learning community. These foundations allow them to confidently access introductions, or these skills allow them to confidently access instruction in a more structured environment. Independence, preparing for a more structured environment. Independence is a critical component of kindergarten readiness. It is more structured classroom environment. Children are expected to manage personal belongings, follow routines and schedules, transition between activities and attempt tasks with minimal adult assistance. Preschool plays a vital role in gradually building these skills so children enter kindergarten feeling confident, capable, and responsible for their own learning. In addition to social emotional readiness and independent skills, kindergarten teachers expect children to enter school with foundational literacy and math skills. These are not mastery level expectations, but early learning blocks that support formal instruction. In literacy, these includes recognizing their uppercase letters, lowercase letters, sounds, writing their names, and handling book skills like turning the pages, recognizing the front and the back. In math, children should be able to count up to 20, identify basic shapes, and sort objects by attributes. These foundations allow children to access kindergarten with confidence.
Hey, thanks, Cleva. Now we're going to talk about teaching academics in preschool in a developmentally appropriate way. Um, so, academic lessons such as counting, learning the alphabet, writing names, learning shapes are all very, very important for children in preschool, but they do need to be taught in a developmentally appropriate way. So, what does that exactly mean? So NIAC or NACI defines developmentally appropriate practice as methods that promote each child's optimal development and learning through a strengths-based, play-based approach to joyful, engaged learning. So what does this mean? What exactly does that mean? So a play-based approach. Number one is that learning should be fun. Rote memorization, asking children, what color is this? What's this letter? What's this letter? And things like that. What's those are not developmentally appropriate questions, and frankly, not very fun for the children. One of the best things that preschool teachers can instill in children before they go off to kindergarten is a love of learning and a love of going to school. So at this age, making those lessons around play-based approach and making these lessons fun is the best way to do that, and it makes it more meaningful for the children. So keeping them engaged. So if a child has to sit through a circle time or a project that is not interesting to them, they're going to tune out and find something else to do, likely something that you do not want them to be doing, um, because that is more interesting to them. So oftentimes, a teacher feels that the challenge is the child's behavior in settings like this, when in fact, the real challenge is for the teacher to make the task interesting for the children. Your task as a teacher is making that circle time or that project so fun that they really do want to engage and they don't feel like they have to engage. If they're just sitting at circle time, twiddling their shoestrings or thinking about something else or poking at their friend, they're not getting any learning out of it. Um, Oftentimes, circle time is a non-negotiable and all children have to go. And one thing I'd like to challenge is that circle time and any other project that happens during the day is a choice for the children. We want the children to be learning. So if they're just sitting there, they will not be learning. So it's actually more meaningful and um, more meaningful for the children to go to the block area and build blocks, and they're learning about math and shapes and depth and things like that, um, than just sitting at a circle time that they're not interested. So just something for you to consider about keeping them engaged all throughout the day. Another way to keep academics developmentally appropriate is to make it culturally relevant for the children. So meaningful learning also means that it is tied to the child's home, their language, their food, other parts of their culture. If you don't know, which is totally okay, what this might look like for the different children in your class, you can ask the children's families. You can include at snacks and meals. You can speak or teach and gather books and materials in the child's home language, have photos from home. If a child feels that they are a valued part of the classroom community, they will become more engaged and more learning will take place.
All right. So for my part, we're going to be talking about how we can support kids as they move and transition to a much bigger environment. That change from preschool to kindergarten can be daunting to some, can be exciting for others. So there's a lot of different emotions that come into play when kids get prepared and to make this big jump and transition from going to a much smaller school into things being bigger. Playground is bigger, library is bigger. You eat differently during lunchtime in the cafeteria. There's PE, there's music classes. So today we'll take a dive into how we can best prepare the kids and the preschool kids that you guys have in your program for kindergarten. So let's take a look at first the playground. So I have it out of order. We're taking the first look at the library. So one way you guys can prepare your kids to enter kindergarten and to understand what is coming next is to help them understand how the library works when they enter elementary. One way that you can do that is creating an activity where they get to experience it themselves. So best in the best way that you guys can design and create pretend library cards for the kids. This could be an activity, an art project where you guys can do together, or a teacher can create a pre-hand and just have it ready for kids, and then teach them how to check out a book. Role play for them. Take on the role of a librarian first, model to them, set up a station in the classroom where they can go find a book in the library area and have them line up and pretend to check out the book. And then if you guys have the time and the kids have the capacity for that, you guys can flip roles. Give the kids a chance to be the librarian, and then they can check out other kids' books and just allow them to have fun with it, allow them to be comfortable with it. So when they enter elementary for the first time and they start kindergarten and they get to do this, they'll already be ready. They won't be scared. It won't be a big task to them. It'll be something that they're already familiar with. So when they get a chance to actually do it, they'll be experts. They'll be at least, or at the very least, comfortable in doing so. And one of the things you guys can also do is if you have if you have if it's close enough and you guys have the time for it and you're able to take in a field trip out to the library, whether it's a local library that's close by or an elementary library that they're allowed to that they will give access to you guys to come and have a little tour, talk to the librarian and instead of doing the design where you are modeling in the classroom, you get to maybe check it out in real life. So going to a local library, if there's one close by, maybe within walking distance, or if it's within the budget to take a little field trip to an elementary school or somewhere close by, it's a great way to show the kids what it looks like and to give them the confidence when they start kindergarten. I also attached a link for a video, which gives you a full tour throughout the library. It shows you what it looks like, how the librarians greet students, and how the checking out process works. Next, we're going to touch on elementary playground. One way you can get kids familiarized with this is maybe having an older sibling show and tell day. To invite an older sibling that is already in elementary to come and share their experiences about elementary and how it is to play in this new big playground. You know, invite that older sibling to not only talk about it, but to join the kids outside, to teach them some of the games that they now play in elementary. As you grow into as you move and transition into a different school, the types of games and activities that you play, especially as you get older, become a little bit different. So some games that typically get learned in elementary are like kickball, foursquare, maybe capture the flag, different tag games. Those are games that you can bring from an older student and have them model it and teach it to some of the kids in preschool and get them ready for it. So when they play out in the big playground for the first time, and maybe this first and second grader is starting this game of kickball, your newly integrated kindergartner will already know how to play it, already know the rules, so they won't be afraid to join. So instead of them standing on the sideline, kind of watching for the first few weeks and getting their confidence up, if they've already played the game, they will be excited to join in and be a part of the group. And that's a great way to build and instill confidence in a student to try something out for the first time. Another way you can also show what it looks like and kind of the differences between the playgrounds is to print out pictures of elementary playgrounds for kids to see. You can do some research in terms of local elementaries around you and print out specific pictures of those playgrounds so they can, you know, they can understand, okay, I'm about to go to this school here. This is what it's going to look like, and give them a little preview of some of the exciting things that they might take on when they enter the playground. I've also attached a few links as well. Some of these students and teachers have put together some great videos where they tour the playground. They show you guys some of the equipment that they have, some of the games that they play. So some of these videos are available for you to watch to either learn yourself, or if you want to show them in the classroom to the kids so they can kind of get a virtual tour of it. That's also a great way to familiarize them as well. The next one, we'll be looking at the elementary cafeteria. So the way preschoolers eat lunch is a little bit different. And then when you enter elementary, it's more structured. They'll be asked to get lunch on their own. They'll have to get in line. So what you can do is to model and simulate what it feels like, what it looks like as best you can in your classroom. You can purchase some cafeteria style trays, arrange your classroom, rearrange it a little bit where instead of maybe you're serving a family style at the table or the teacher is handing out everything to the students, set it up where you call up maybe 4 or 5 kids at a time with their trays to pick out their fruit, pick out their grain, and pick out their beverage and then everything that you guys are serving and show them what it's like and then talk to them about what to expect. Because when it comes to elementary cafeteria, the timing is a little bit different. Now you are eating based on a certain amount of time, where if you eat longer, you'll have less time to go outside to play. If you eat a little bit quicker and more efficient, you'll have more time to be able to maximize to go outside. So, teaching the kids that early on will help them understand the concept of time. Oftentimes, what I've seen from new kindergartners is they tend to take a little bit too long with eating and they don't realize that that seeps into their outside time. So by the time they go out, they maybe only have 5 or 10 minutes left to play. Whereas when you're in preschool, you're always guaranteed an X amount of time to be outside. And that time doesn't really impact with how long you take to eat lunch most often. So teaching them and getting them ready for that, it's a great way for them to understand how to go about getting their lunch and also how to go about being efficient with their time. And as the same with the other areas, I've also attached a few links where they give you a virtual tour on what the cafeteria looks like, how big and grand it can be, what the process is when you get in line to get your food, and how it feels like when you're sitting in now a much bigger and longer table where you're not eating with just your kindergarten classroom. There's a lot of different grades that are around you too. So a lot of different noise level conversations. For some kids, that might be really exciting. You get to have so much excitement in the room. But for some other kids, that might be a little bit scary with so much noise and so much going on, and all these kids are so much bigger. So, getting them familiarized and seeing what that looks like may help them with their fear their very first week going into kindergarten. The next area we'll be looking at is elementary PE. This is going to be different and a big change for the kids. This is going to be one specific class that is focused on physical education, where we're focused on doing activities, teaching them about physical health. So talk to them about what PE is, what to expect for PE, and set up maybe some fun PE style games that your students can play during outside time. Talk to them about PE being a class where you go in there not only to get your body active and to stay healthy, but you'll be learning a lot of facts about your health, things that keep you active, things that different ways to stretch, different things that you do that can add muscle, can add endurance to your stamina. So talk about how those things will be implemented now as a part of PE. And then if you get a chance, you can show them some virtual videos of what that looks like. And some of these videos will also give you some ideas of different PE games that you might be able to try out in the classroom before they enter kindergarten to get them ready for that as well. And then this last part, I just gave you guys a few more links. This one kind of goes over the entire process, entire day of what it feels like to be an elementary student. These virtual tours, I was able to watch all the videos and they're amazing. They come from the perspective, some of them from a student who starts off their day coming from home, heading into the classroom, what they do with their backpacks, how they check in, how they sit down in the classroom, how they transition to different areas. So this will give them an opportunity to see what it really looks like from the morning to the afternoon until the end of the day when they get picked up from school, whether it's going home in a school bus or a parent coming to get them.
Okay. Thank you, C. Next, we'll be talking about supporting families through this transition to kindergarten. So, starting kindergarten can be an exciting and stressful time for both the children and the families. Helping families prepare for this transition can help make this transition successful and set the tone for a happy school year. Below are some tips to help families begin the transition. So, you can assist families in finding which school their child is zoned for. School district websites will have an address lookup tool to determine your child's home school based on your residential address. You can visit the school's website to see key dates and information, such as registration dates. Most schools do begin kindergarten registration in February. Required paperwork that will be needed, and how to prove your residency. You can also help parents with this transition by contacting the schools you provide care for and find out about open house nights and back to school nights. School websites should have links to school supply lists for families, and you can print these out and email them to them as well. You can also visit the Washington OSPI, the Office for the Superintendent of Public Instruction website to ensure families have access to the free and reduced meals application. So, as the first day of school gets closer, you may find that your children start to express some stress and some worry or apprehension about what to expect. Having their routine disrupted can be stressful for children. So, here are some things you can discuss with your families as they prepare for the first day of kindergarten. So, about 2 or 3 weeks before the first day of school, you can start talking, or even earlier, you can start talking to your child about starting kindergarten. You can ask what they're worried about, what they're excited for. Start establishing good routines both in the morning and in the evening. Start the conversation about how they're going to get to and from school. Encourage your families to contact the transportation department for their school district to determine bus number, schedules, and pickup location. And if they will be driven to school by a parent or a child care provider, contact the school to locate the pickup and drop off locations. You can involve the children in gathering their school supplies, picking out their new backpack and school supplies, and can really help build excitement for the transition. And the night before the first day of kindergarten, you can help your child prepare by letting them pick out their first day of school outfit. Giving them choice over this can really help them give a sense of control during a stressful time. You can let them help you prepare their backpack with their supplies and the lunch and snack. And very importantly, ensure that your child is getting enough rest and going to bed at a good time. And oh, we're gonna keep going. So the morning of the first day of kindergarten, try to keep the morning as calm and stress-free as possible. Try to ensure that they're able to get a good breakfast, whether that's at home with their child care provider or through the school's breakfast program. And try to keep goodbyes quick and try to keep emotions under control for the adult until after your child has entered the school. You don't want your emotions affecting your child. After school, you can show enthusiasm about your child's first day and ask them how it went. What was their favorite part? Did they make any friends? You can ask them about their teacher and if they learned anything new that day. And create a positive atmosphere towards school for your child, setting them up for a healthy mindset and encouraging them to be lifelong learners.
All right, so now we're going to talk about social learning. Social learning in preschool is one of the greatest things you can teach your students in your program before they transition to kindergarten. Knowing how to manage social situations is a lifelong skill that children are capable of learning early. This allows your students to know what to do in tricky social situations, which sometimes can make learning difficult if not already in place. Here are some areas to focus on socially when in the classroom. Problem-solving strategies, following a daily routine, can they help in the classroom, playing cooperatively with others, sharing and taking turns, and being able to comfort others. So first we'll look at problem solving. So first you'll want to use a strategy that all children know the steps to. Every preschool classroom should have a simple, consistent problem-solving process that all children know. When children understand the steps and have specific language to use, they can begin solving problems independently. And then you'll want to develop language so children know keywords and phrases to use during conflict. As the teacher, your role is to be somewhat of a facilitator of this process as they're learning how to utilize these skills. Many times it will look like noticing that there's a problem and stating what you see out loud, saying something like, "It looks like there's a problem here." Give the students a chance to share what is going on and then restate what you're hearing back to them. Asking open-ended questions such as, "How should we solve this problem?" will give students the opportunity to generate ideas and to listen to other ideas as well. And then you'll want to support the solutions that the children come up with. The practice in and of itself is valuable because it teaches children how to actively listen to each other and cooperate to come up with a solution that works for everyone. Again, being the facilitator is key because this is a learned skill. Saying things like, "I heard Brian say that you can use the car when he's done. Does that work for you?" That models listening to ideas and respecting what will and won't work for a child. If the child says, "That doesn't work for me," then we need to model generating ideas by saying something like, "Sarah said that doesn't work for her. Can we think of another idea? Do you have any ideas, Sarah?" Sometimes you will find that children will come up with a silly idea that may not sound like it would work to you, but that they both agreed to do it and it will work for them. In these moments, it is important to recognize that children are practicing the skill, and the point of it is the practice itself of the process and finding solutions that are meaningful to the children, not necessarily the adults. With a daily routine, you'll want to utilize a visual routine schedule for children to follow. Having a visual routine supports learning and how a child perceives time, and having this available to refer to daily can help to create clear expectations on how each day will go. Visuals and pictures for young children also supports early literacy because children learn through visuals and use them to decode what is happening. There's information in those pictures that children use to make sense of their world. Young children view the passage of time through activities and what's coming up next. So for children, the ebb and flow of the daily activities is how they perceive time. For example, they might not know that lunch is at 11:30, but they will know that lunch happens after outside time and will know that after lunchtime comes rest time through experience. And then for some kids, it provides comfort for the children who need predictability in their daily routine. Knowing what is next can be a comfort for many students. This is because children have little control over what happens day to day and don't always know what to expect, leaving them feel like things may feel unpredictable at times. When children know what's next, they feel secure and can focus more on learning. The next one is can help out in the classroom. This demonstrates classroom community values. Teaching routines like cleanup shows children that your classroom community values caring for the classroom environment and for one another. These repeated practices build responsibility and belonging to the classroom community. And then the next one is plays with friends cooperatively. So it's important to remember that play is a learned skill for many students. Play for children is a fun time of the day, but it is also inherently will include times of conflict with sharing the materials or ideas. Teachers can be a great support to supporting friendships through helping to provide language and problem-solving skills for many situations that can arise during this time. Remember to teach the basics, such as teaching children to say things as, "Can I play with you?" For a child who may need additional support with entering into play, it is important to recognize what is happening in those moments because oftentimes when a child does not know how to enter into play, it can look like the opposite. It can look like a child knocking over creations, drawing on someone's art, or taking things, and basically the opposite of what a child is wanting to do. Bringing in some easy to use phrases like, "Can I play with you?" Provide your students with tools to get their needs met in social situations. And then you can facilitate their play as well. So facilitating play between two children who need that additional support by being present to model language around play. This both teaches the children common things they can say during play, as well as models what it looks like in action. Some of the things you can model might sound like the following, such as, "Can I have the square block? Thank you for getting that for me." Or, "Can we do this together?" Or, "You are so kind to share this doll with me." Open play or free play is a wonderful time to support students socially in the classroom to help them develop these skills. The next one is sharing and taking turns. So again, with having problem-solving strategies, having a sharing strategy everyone knows the steps to can be very supportive. Um, it is inevitable that children will experience conflict relating to sharing. In a typical preschool classroom, there could be upwards of 20 students, and practicing sharing can feel like it's happening all day, every day. Having some strategies as teachers for sharing in the classroom will support your students in developing this skill. And to do this, you can model this through practice with students. So, what are some of the ways in which you are already supporting sharing in your classroom? It's as easy as having a few ideas that can work in many scenarios and practicing those in real time. So common sharing strategies might look like using a timer, using a toy or material together with another child, or for them to ask for a turn. These are some basic ideas to try and practice daily. Creating a small poster with the basic ideas on it and referring to it often as possible when a child is struggling with sharing. Saying something like, "I noticed you're wanting to use a toy someone else has. Let's look at the sharing poster to see what strategy will work for you today to get a turn." This models using this as a tool and will allow children to have a strategy that has some clear steps that they can use when they are needing them. And then lastly, we'll talk about children being able to care and comfort for others. So as a teacher, you can teach children what emotions look like in others. Helping students to recognize what different feelings look like will support them in comfort and empathy when needed. Noticing out loud how emotions look like in real time begins to teach children how to recognize feelings in others. Saying things like, "You look so happy. I can tell because you're smiling and you're jumping up and down." Or, "You miss your mom because she left. I can tell you're sad because you're crying and hugging your stuffy really tight." Verbally stating what feelings look like is something that you can model and other children will pick up on if done routinely, allowing them to identify how a peer might be feeling. And then you can model how to care for and comfort others to instill that in your students. So in one of my classrooms, we practiced taking big breaths when children were upset. And sometimes I would face my student and hold both of their hands while they're upset. And we take big breaths in and out while using our arms to rise with each breath in and fall with each breath out. I started to notice some of my students doing this when with their peers when they became upset, letting me know that my modeling care and comfort had given other students tools to do the same. It also might look like a friend getting a child a stuffy from their cubby or to bring to them when they're sad or sitting beside them in the cozy area when they're upset. And one final thought, social learning takes practice, consistency, and modeling. When we intentionally teach problem solving, routines, sharing, cooperative play, and empathy, we give children lifelong skills that can support both relationships and academic success.
Hello, everyone. I'm here to talk about preparing children emotionally for kindergarten. So, how we can support both children and families emotionally as they prepare for the transition into kindergarten. For children, preparing goes beyond routines and focuses on helping them feel real confident in a new environment. So, talking positive about starting school, it helps to reduce the fear of unknown and shapes children's expectations. So, going to the library, because I worked in a preschool once upon a time where we were in the bottom of the school and we had more opportunity for real life experiences. But if you don't have that, reading books at the library, um, encouraging the parents to take tours of the school, doing different things like that, practicing routines and transitions supported by flexibility and helps children adjust to new structures they will be experiencing in kindergarten. Helping children identify and express their feelings builds emotional awareness, especially as they may experience separation anxiety when entering a new setting. So it could go back to when they first entered preschool and how they had that big separation anxiety, but then they started going and they felt comfortable. Another important shift is that children may move from being the big kid in a preschool to feeling new again as a kindergarten. This change in identity can impact confidence and may show up as hesitation or uncertainty. So, supporting independence helps children adjust to the shift and feel capable even when they're in a new environment, or even putting them in a position before they go to kindergarten, like joining a club or a sport, or, maybe taking a class at the community center, going to the library, places where there are other big kids that they can interact with. Um, Providing opportunities to practice social skills prepares children to navigate peer relationships with less immediate adult support. Um, for parents and family members, emotional preparation looks a little different. Families can support children by helping them recognize and express feelings and by preparing for longer separations during the school day. The transportation may also be new for families and children, so parents can help by talking through what the experience will look like, such as getting on the bus, meeting new staff, or arriving at the school. Creating consistent goodbye routine can help ease separation. Families may also notice that their children feel less confidence when entering kindergarten because they wow, are no longer the big kid in the room. Sorry, I had already mentioned that. Children who once felt capable in their preschool may now feel unsure in the large environment. So families can support this shift by reinforcing messages such as, it's okay to be new. You don't have to know everything right away. Encouraging independence at home and talking positive about school helps children build the confidence. So, when families provide the reassurance and preparation, children and prepare children for new experiences like transportation, separation, and children, they are more likely to feel safe and develop a sense of belonging in their new kindergarten section setting. Next slide, please. Um, This slide focuses on how we can continue supporting children and family as they transition into kindergarten gets closer by focusing on coping and preparation. For children, predictable routines help reduce uncertainty and make upcoming changes feel more manageable. Validating the children's feelings helps them understand that it's normal to feel nervous, excited, or unsure. Teaching common strategies such as deep breathing, like Christina said, or asking for help gives children the tool to manage big emotions. I know one thing that was big for me when I entered kindergarten. I had only been at home and like to a little family home daycare maybe once or twice. So as just even asking for help or asking for things to get my needs based could be very intimidating. So, just practicing that. One thing I did with my daughter is we would go to the store and I would let her ask like one of the people in the store, like, hey, do you know where this is? So just those little things that kind of build confidence because people don't realize how intimidating that may be. Um, for parents and family members, preparation often looks like helping children feel ready for what they experience will actually be like. Families can support emotional readiness by practicing short separations with trusted caregivers and creating calming goodbye routines, encouraging independence in everyday tasks such as opening containers, dressing themselves, or organizing belongings, helping children identify feelings and practicing strategies, role-playing school routines and at circle time, or doing things like second step, meeting teachers, lining up, or sitting in a group setting. Talk through new experiences, staying positive when discussing school, and encouraging social interactions through play dates. Providing these supports help children feel more secure and confident as they approach kindergarten. Thank you. Oh, no. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching our video and learning all about the different ways we can help prepare our students for kindergarten. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to your coach with any questions. These are topics that we have all been experts about. We've researched through, so we definitely have some more tips and advices to give you guys if you guys have any more questions. Thank you guys.